Okay, so let's start with a pretty wild idea. What if I told you that you've been kidnapped? And not just you, I'm talking about everyone, the entire human race. That is the incredible, provocative argument made in an essay by Xu Feng of Life Chen Wan, and it's literally titled, Mankind Has Been Kidnapped. It argues that our entire society, our whole reality, is a prison. It's a huge claim. I know, so let's break it down and see how he gets there.
Right off the bat, the author, Zheng Feng, doesn't pull any punches. The essay just opens with this massive statement. I have discovered that the people of Earth have been kidnapped. So, what could that possibly mean? It's almost certainly not what you're imagining.
And this definition right here is the absolute key to this whole thing. For Xu Feng, kidnapping isn't about being thrown in the back of a van. It's about being deprived of your freedom, both physical and your freedom to choose, all so you serve someone else's goal. It's a condition where you can't fight back, you don't dare to, or even worse, you don't even know that you should be fighting back. So keep that idea in your head as we go.
Okay, so with that specific definition of kidnapping in mind, the author starts pointing fingers. He starts to identify the kidnappers. And, well, they aren't who you'd expect. He says they're the very structures of our society, which he calls our invisible prisons.
So, who's kidnapping number one? According to this essay, it's the state. Yep, the entire concept of a country, something we just take for granted, is framed here as the biggest and first prison we're all born into.
I mean, how can a country be a prison? Well, the argument is pretty straightforward. National borders, those are the prison walls. Trying to cross one without permission is called illegal entry, which the author says is just another term for a prison break. So from this point of view, the moment you're born, you're put into a cell, your home country, and you're basically stuck there. The point here is that this thing we all see as normal is actually the first layer of our imprisonment.
All right, so from the giant, macro-level prison of the state, the author then zooms way in to something super personal, something that most of us consider sacred, the family. But in this essay, the family isn't a safe harbor, it's another prison. And this one is a lifelong sentence.
This part really lays out the author's argument clearly. The family is described as a prison that's surrounded by these invisible, barbed wire fences. You've got the moral fence of duty and obligation, the legal fence of marriage and inheritance, the debt fence of financial responsibility, and of course the big one, the emotional fence of our personal connections. The argument is that all these forces work together to trap people, making them work their whole lives for this one unit, which makes escape seem nearly impossible.
But the argument goes even deeper than just physical places or legal documents. The next group of kidnappers that the author identifies are the invisible forces that control our inner worlds, our emotions and our deepest beliefs.
Now, this is where the essay gets really, really challenging for a lot of us. The author actually argues that the thing we value most, love and affection, can actually be just another kind of emotional trap. According to the essay, our emotional bonds create this weird system of mutual kidnapping. Think about it. Parents are kidnapped by the needs of their kids, and kids are kidnapped by their duty to their parents. Spouses, siblings, they all trap each other in this web. So from this viewpoint, love isn't something that sets you free. It's a tangled network of obligations where your own freedom is always being traded for someone else's.
And finally, the author takes aim at two of the biggest forces in all of human history, religion and politics. He calls these the great ideological kidnappers. This slide here draws a really interesting comparison. Religion, the author claims, kidnaps your spirit. It sort of numbs you with these sweet promises of a paradise in the afterlife, tying you down with rules and doctrines until being trapped feels totally normal. Politics, on the other hand, gets people moving with powerful emotional words about the nation or justice. The essay even brings up soldiers in World War II who were so convinced by political speeches that dying for their country was this glorious act, never realizing they were just pawns in a bigger game.
So we've gone through the prisons, the state, the family, love, religion, and politics. But the essay argues that these are just the tools, just the bars on the cell. So the next question is obvious. Who's the real mastermind behind this whole system?
This really is the biggest question of all, isn't it? If all of humanity is the victim here, then who is the kidnapper? Who actually benefits from this giant, planet-sized prison? The author's answer is, well, it's blunt, and it's definitely unexpected. Just one word: Satan. In this framework, Satan isn't just some religious boogeyman. It's the master architect, the one pulling all the strings behind the state,
the family, and all the ideas that keep humanity locked up.
Which, of course, just leads to the next big question. If Satan is the mastermind, then what's the motive? Why go through all this effort? What's the point?
The text gives us two reasons. First, that for Satan, this whole thing is just a game, a source of entertainment, of pleasure, that comes from orchestrating this huge, messy drama of human life. And second, on a much more cosmic scale, the idea is that all this struggle and confinement is somehow necessary to keep the universe in balance.
So after painting this incredibly bleak picture of, well, universal imprisonment, the essay suddenly pivots. It doesn't just leave us with the problem. It actually proposes a way out, a path to liberation.
But hang on a second. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. If we just got rid of the state, the family, religion, and politics, wouldn't everything just collapse into total chaos? The author knows you're thinking this and addresses it head-on.
And the answer given is pretty interesting. In the past, yeah, absolutely. Chaos would have been the result. There wasn't any correct theoretical guidance for a new way to live. But, and this is a big but, the essay claims that things are different now. A solution exists today that makes it possible for people to finally wake up from this kidnapped state.
So what is this new solution? What's this correct theoretical guidance that changes the whole game? For the author, Xu Feng, the answer is his own philosophy and community, Life Shan Yuan.
And Life Shan Yuan is presented as the actual key to unlocking humanity's prison. Its stated goals are pretty huge: to free everyone from bondage, to help them walk what the text calls the path of God, and ultimately, to build a kind of paradise right here on Earth, a life full of real happiness and joy.
And that leaves us with a final, really powerful question to think about. Look, whether you agree with any of this or not, the essay forces you to ask some deep questions. If everything we've built our lives on, our countries, our families, our most profound beliefs, are actually just prisons in disguise, what does real freedom even look like? What would be left if all those walls just came tumbling down?